Is that working okay? All right. Now I am messing with you. Ah. All right, you should be able to hear me. Should sound good. That's a great riff from the new Ace album. It's like, that's how you know it's the right tuning. You hear those notes ring out. It's the same as 10,000 volts. You know. It's a great tune. Anyway, let's see who's here. We got Tony, Overlord, Patrick, Yeti, Motzi, Candies, Jim, Strat CPO, Tony, Blackjack, Frehley, Ed, Sean, Coots, John, Retro Puffer, Baker, Spiros, Fred Birdie, Electro Omega, Ron Paget, Tony, Rock and Rob, Vimps, Zoots, and of course Electro Omega, Double R Guitar, Craig Jones. I might be repeating you. Damn, that SG sounded good. I agree, Eli. Thank you. What's up, speaker? What's up, dude? Got Matt, Jay Schaff, Spiros, and Mike, and Frank, and John, and Tony, Dave, Justin, Blackjack Guitar, Calvin. What's up, Tony? And the other Tony. And of course, Richard and Patrick. Wanna Beetle, Calvin, if I miss Calvin. Blackjack Guitar. Green Meanie, Yeti Motzi. And the rest are here. You don't get thrown in that rest pile. What's up, Stu Bob and Baker? 10,000 volts per 10 watts. Who's kind of whatever. It's not a lot of amps, just a lot of volts. Yep. I'm tuned to D, like I'd have to think about that again. It's been a while since I played that one. The Aussie tune, you know? think it's... What did I do? I was shown and mentioned on Tuesday's Trogly video. Uh-oh. For what? What was the context? I know. Zach, what's that? Oh, Sharon's at the door. Where's me money? It's 50 quid. All right, Sharon, calm down over there. And my money. Gotta buy a candle for $4,300. Did I see the clip of Ace buying the album at Walmart? I did, with the lenticular cover that shows the bolts depending on how the lightning bolts. What's the Cherry Burst Les Paul? That's a Lotus. I'm in excellent form tonight. I'd like to hear that. Buddy update. Buddy is doing fine. Buddy had a swift and complete recovery within just a couple of days. He was jumping right up, no problem at all. Because even though his limp went away, he still had trouble jumping. But no, he was on the kitchen table tonight. He's like, I'm back. I'm back. I'm like, okay, calm down there, kid. Come on there, freaking buddy. See, I would normally play it, but if you listen, you can almost hear the friggin' hammer-ons. Buddy is back in black. He is doing good. He's doing really good. Any tips for sweep picking? You know, I'm not the best guy to ask about that because, gotta remember, I am left-handed, not right-handed. I play guitar righty, but it's the only thing I do righty. Everything else, I'm left-handed. I'm friggin' left-handed. Pretty much everything but this. So, you know, I don't have the best right hand. Oh yeah. Oh, I drink my coffee left-handed. Working that mouse left-handed. All my controls are to the left. Oh yeah. No, I'm friggin' left-handed. Although I don't switch the buttons on my mouse. I worked in IT. You can't go running around changing people's buttons on their mouse. So I just adapted to a regular, mouse. It's been fine. That is tasty Yeah, I do more raking than sweeping, yeah. Why don't you ever play the green telly? I played all this green telly here? Or my other green telly. You know, I have two green tellies. As an IT guy, I hate remoting into a lefty's PC. I know. What is wrong with you? Oh, you'll find this if you're an IT guy. You'll find this funny. I had a guy, an analyst, when his computer, he's all, my computer's running really slow. And he had used up a bunch of space. And so I went in and I checked his, recycle, you know. He had 3,000 items in there. I emptied it. And then, of course, I freed up some space. It seemed to be going. I rebooted it. I said, it's probably a little bit better now. And then he's like, oh, what happened to all my stuff in the recycle bin? I'm like, I emptied it. And he's like, oh, I know it sounds weird, but I was sort of storing my stuff in there. I go, you were storing your stuff. That was the folder you decided to use, the recycle bin? That's where you were gonna that. He's like, well, it was on the desktop, and I could make folders in it. And I was just like, yeah, well, you got what you deserved, because that's about as stupid as I've ever. I don't know what. I am sure that guy graduated from some Ivy League friggin' school, if he was working there. And I'm like, boy, you are dumb. Why would you have an intricate, you ever hear of the friggin' My Documents folder? No. Now I store everything in the recycle bin. All right. Well, put an order in with Keith, see if you can get it restored off the server. Dumbass. And the thing is, and I would say, you realize that the recycle bin is excluded from backups, right? So if you had just kept it in your freaking My Documents folder, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because the routine we run backs up all your personal folders, but doesn't back up what's in the recycling bin. We actually exclude that folder, dummy. Oh my God. Yeah. Kept everything in the recycling bin. You can't make it up. You can't make that up, I was just like, oh, my God. Exactly. Wait, Mr. Garbage Man, don't take that away. I was saving that. You see that thing out front that marked trash? I was hoping to hold on to that. Why would someone take that? He was not an IT analyst. He was a economics analyst doing think tank crap, like gaming theory, and setting up they did a lot with energy distribution. And for the longest time they were, but they weren't really that when I was there, but they used to be just sort of straight up expert witnesses that would just be sort of brought in to offer economic analysis. But then they got way more into it. The crazy thing is they spent all this crazy money on this deck machine. And although it was fast, it was robust, it was amazing, it was extremely expensive compared to like even the most top shelf friggin' Dell, you know, multi-core workstation. It rounded differently, so you got a different result than on the Windows machines, because it used a different floating point, like, so they wouldn't use the results because you can be wrong, but you can't be inconsistent. You have to be either consistently wrong or consistently right, but you can't be inconsistent, or else you won't get any more, right? Because then they don't know what to believe. Just give them the same answer and over again. Say, oh yeah, no, it's a lock. All the models ran the same. But if you run, right? But if you get a different result, and then at one point, I don't know how they got freaking talked into it. But they bought a Sun microsystem. This big friggin' Sun machine. This friggin', you know, I mean, it was straight out of, you know, was that 2001: A Space Odyssey? Right, this big monolith in the friggin' room. This thing, oh my God! I think they paid. I want to say they paid like $160,000 for that box. It was expensive. And I was just like, for that kind of money, you could have bought an army of Dell boxes that we could have run out. You know, how much is it doing? We could have bought literally 16 $10,000 Dell boxes. How much, you know, running in parallel? How fast is it? Yeah, exactly. It was 160,000, and it wasn't quite 97. I want to say it was right before the top guy left, and he left right after Y2K. He was sticking around through Y2K. He told him he wouldn't leave until after the Y2K thing. So I want to say they put that in like either 98 or 99. And goddamn, that thing was, I feel like, a colossal waste of money. You know who's in the space right now? Microsoft. They probably walked in there and saw the crazy friggin' raised floor, self air conditioned with this giant friggin' air conditioning system built in. You know, the lines that we had into that room for power, for everything, the raised floor, and like this thing was like just insane. What a friggin' computer room. It was so friggin' good. They probably walked in there and were like, nice. I never worked at a place that had thrown the kind of money. In fact, right towards the end, the last big project I remember they did was they ran a like 10 gig fiber optic line between the 3 floors. That was the last big thing, a fiber optic line. I was building my compact ProLiant servers. Yeah, can you believe that? Can you believe that Windows NT pretty much killed friggin' NetWare? I mean, how friggin' ubiquitous was friggin' NetWare? I mean, you can't even be serious. It was it. But you know what? It wasn't the protocol of the internet. It was really the internet that did it. Once the internet worked on TCP/IP, everybody just wanted to switch to TCP/IP. Everyone figured out how to set up DNS servers and, IP servers, and, it just all switched. So, just, but at the time, though, it was just like, we were still doing net buoy. Net buoy, Baba buoy, net buoy. We used to do that. Baba buoy, net buoy. Yep, exactly. Internet killed the radio star. That was the end of that. The network star. Yeah, friggin' NetWare. Holy shit. They were so huge. Yeah, and Windows 95 killed OS2. God, do you remember OS2 Warp? I was installing that shit in BOS. Remember BOS? Came a little later. So you'd install it, and you're like, yeah, it's really fast. Now what? Couldn't run an app. Didn't have anything. Right? Like, okay. Same with Linux. Okay, now I got it running. What a chore. Finally got it going. But Linux was really good for certain things. Like, we could set up, like, file servers that were, like, really hidden. Like, didn't really reveal themselves. If you didn't know that it was there, you would never be able to see it. So it had its place, without a doubt. I think we had a Red Hat server we were running towards the end there. We had this dude. We had merged with this other company. He was their IT guy. What a freaking schlub. At one point, I was just talking to him, and he had set up like a workstation up in the computer room. And he was showing me something, and I go, dude, what's this? What's all this? This looks like a friggin' Wares board. And he was like, oh yeah, I had to leave it open, and people find like open addresses. I'm like, so you're not shutting that shit down? How much traffic are you giving away to this friggin' Wares board? He's like, meh, what are you gonna do? I'm like, shut that shit down? What? Oh my God. Tons of wares got hidden right on Linux machines. Yeah. There was Linux was really good. You like being there without advertising it. And Baba Booey to you all. So, if you didn't know, yesterday, the new Ace Frehley album finally came out. I have the Amazon, family mega plan. So it just showed up. It showed up around midnight on Thursday night. And I've only listened through it completely like one time. But it's got some standouts. Of course, 10,000 Volts, which has been out for a few weeks as a single. And the one I just played there, which is Walking on the Moon, which I think is probably the best tune on the record. It's really good. Cosmic Heart, which is just sort of okay. But then Cherry Medicine, which is just a straight up pop tune. The verses are cringe, but I tell you, it brings the heat. Whoever who's co-writing and producing it definitely it has their pop sensibilities together sounds really good. I thought it was good. Back into my arms again. A decent. Fighting for Life, I remember, was a little bit heavier, as was Blinded, I thought. Constantly Cute, Throwaway. And then the rest of them I don't really remember, except for Stratosphere, which is the instrumental. Ace has this thing about doing instrumentals. I'd say, just off the top of my head, just looking at the list here. Hold on, I can show you what I'm looking at. It's right there. I would say that Constantly Cute is probably like the worst tune on the whole thing. I'd have to go back and listen, but it's up there. And you know, a lot of people are like, oh, it's so schlocky, it's so campy. Your first time listening to an Ace Frehley record? Kiss, I hate to break it to you. Kiss is schlocky and campy. I mean, people take this stuff way too seriously. But of course it's goofy and schlocky and syrupy and stupid. It's friggin' Ace Frehley. What you were thinking it's going to be? And so a lot of people really gave it some grief, but I would say overwhelmingly it was very positive in the comments, I thought, for Cherry Medicine and for, you know, the single so far. Again, I think Walking on the Moon is probably the best riff, might be the best tune on the record. Yeah, what is campy? Ace Frehley. Pretty much any rock tune at this point, right? If you look back at those bands and don't like laugh at them instead of with them, you got some growing up to do. You know, let's be honest. Steve Brown wrote the whole album, probably. You know, I mean, who do you think wrote Ozzy's album? Ozzy? Sharon, come over here and help me write a tune. Please, come on. These guys are brands. And they just put together a package with their branding. The IRS loves a new album. I think he cleared all that up. I think that's a story from a long time ago, right? Like literally 20 plus years ago. Who wrote the tunes? Ace. Sure. Ace. How's that? Can't stand Ace. This is why we'll never be friends. I love Ace. Ace is the man. Again, he's just he was the only one, and the best, of course, is the Tom Snyder interview, because Paul can never get the stick out of his ass. All right, that dude was wound up like a goddamn top. Gene, kind of the same way, not as bad as Paul, but pretty bad. Peter at this point doesn't give a shit, and Ace is just looking to entertain himself, and he's got a few in him. And he goes there and gives the most credible answers, the most interesting answers. He goes, yeah, we used to have a stage. It used to break down. We would crank it up, and then the chain would get stuck. And he'd be laughing, you know, and just... And you can just see the look on Paul and Gene. They are just, it's like, because, you know, Paul's one of those hardos. He can't laugh at himself. He can't, he's just not made up like that. A lot of dudes in football are like that. They just, They can't lighten up, you know. The one thing that the guy they brought in as an actor, if you look at the commentary for the Kiss Meets the Phantom, you know, they're talking to this actor, like, everyone was nice, because, but geez, that Paul, he was kind of a serious guy. That's how I bet. I freaking bet. Yeah, so you're a spaceman. No, I'm a plumber. And he bursts into laughter. And again, you just see Paul and Gene just seething. Just absolutely seething. It is, that is entertaining. Oh my God. That coffee is freaking wicked good. So they, what else do they want to talk about this week? New Ace album. Oh yeah, the new PRS, right? Did you see it? It's a little plain. You know? I just feel like eventually, they're just going to send you a picture of the guitar for like $99. Because it's like they can't cut enough out. Has it even made it to the page? Well, I'm at the SC page. Did they make it to the main page yet? Well, I don't think so. I might have to do a yeah, they're there. There we go. There we go. What a pain in the ass, like popping some of these friggin' links open. It's probably my software. I've got shit locked down pretty heavy, but still, I'm going to blame them. What do you think? A little plain. And I'm just not a fan of, you know. So it's at $4.99. I'm just trying to think of the competition, because there's not a lot of guitars at $4.99 any longer. But $4.99 is where they're at. And it's in, I think, satin, turquoise. It's turquoise satin, like a red satin, or like a maroon satin, and like a black satin, I think. Yeah, I think, yeah, kind of boring. Yeah, I think I'm with you, man. It's like, do you have to have something at every price point? You know? I could see them making lower cost versions of the guitars that are sort of, you know, their mainstays, like their, you know, their Custom 24 and the McCarty, right? They do like really 3 versions. They do the full version, which is kind of pricey. They do the S2 version, which is kind of like their mid-tier. And of course they got the SE, which is the, you know, sort of the low tier. Of course you could drop $61.99 on a new Les Paul 68. I don't know, man. These prices are a little eye-watering. And I think there's going to be a bit of a glut on the used market. As people that said, how hard can guitar be? And bought during the pandemic, and then found out, it's bad stuff. That is much harder than I had expected. They make it look so easy. Yeah, there's the other colors. Yeah, a little market correction time. I think you're right, Tony. I think there is going to be a little bit of correction time going on here. You know, we're fed up with these prices. We're not going to take it. Twisted Sister wrote a song about it. Though admittedly, that doesn't look bad right there. I just don't like that seam. That's an unseemly seam. Not liking the seam. That ebony. And ebony, we got ebony there, kid. Satin finish and blah 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 and fettered. Yeah. Bolt on, blah, thin, wide, blah blah. Like that. So just go to the specs. Body material, mahogany, right-handed, wide, thin, bolt on. Fretboard material, rosewood. I did not see that coming. Huh. All right. At least they're 18-to-1 tuners. I appreciate that. Comes with a geek bag. Yeah. I mean, I get the price point, $4.99, but there's, you would think that there's no choices at that price point, but there's quite a few choices. So, we'll see. We will see. Let's, can we go back one more? Yeah. And the other one is the black, yeah. Again, not that seam. There's that seam again. The unseemly seam. Looks like they're dealing with, a two-slab system here. Big slab on the left and a smaller slab to the right. I think we saw that on at least two. Yeah, see, there it is. The unseemly seam. You know? $10,000 votes. Maybe he's talking about a defibrillator. I believe you're thinking of Kickstart My Heart. That was the song about a defibrillator. If I remember correctly. Oh, the defibrillators they sold with that tune. Whew! Put them in a new Porsche. All right. Oh, right there. If it plays killer, who cares? Oh, yeah, exactly. I mean, come on. Your OCD is fine, bro. You're totally cool with that. If it plays fine, you could stare at that. That wouldn't bother you. It's not bothering you right now. You're not like looking at it and just saying like, why couldn't even that seam just be in the middle? But it's not. It'll forever be that seam right there. But you're cool with it. It doesn't bother you. I mean, sure you can see it, but whatevs, bro. It's not even like even really that visible, is it? You can't really see it, can you? And the rationalization begins. What pickups are in that? I gotta think they're like an import, because I believe they don't use any. They're calling it the PRS 8515S humbucker, and it has a coil tap, which I don't think what they really mean is a coil cut, but I could be wrong. Maybe, knowing Paul Reed Smith, it might actually be a coil tap. In my day, we had coil taps. I don't think he's in China. I'm pretty sure he's still in, I think it's Indonesia, right? Does it even matter? Does longitude and latitude even matter any longer? No, there was a time when it really did, but I think that time was like 40 plus years ago. But I think, if I had to guess, I'm going to say it's Indonesia. You know, it's a little tough to read. They don't really have a back of the headstock photo. Do they? No. No, they don't. I mean, they do, but it's so far away you can't really. I think it's Indonesia. It could be Korea. Right, that he's been known to come out of Korea. I mean, that would be my first guess, would be Korea, where she has, I think, all the other SE stuff made. But can't really. A little tricky to make it out. My guess would be Indonesia, but it could be Korea. Is it caught in Indonesia? Yeah, that would make sense. They're really killing it these days. When you tune down, you're instant metal. That's actually, I think, where they play. They play it in G, right? Wagga digga wagga. You wagga digga 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 now. Come on, baby. Yeah, pretty much everything's coming out of Indo. Yeah, underneath the sub 400 mark. Yeah. I feel like they captured most of the production away from China. Right? I feel like production had moved to China for a good 5 years, at least. And then it all moved away to Indonesia. I know that I had some friends that were having some guitars made in China, and they were approached at NAMM by these guys who had a factory in Vietnam, and they were like, you know, we can do it for like, I don't know, it was like 40% less or 50%, you know, it was a good savings. But he said the guitars were so bad. He was like, no, oh, God. He goes, because, you know, once they sell it to you, they're done with it. There's no, you got to handle all the warranty service. He goes, so we went running back to we stuck with the Chinese guys. He goes, their stuff, no problems. We never had problems. He goes, that Indonesia stuff, he goes, I could just see the writing on the wall with them. I mean, not Indonesia, Vietnam. He said, so you're trying to save a little bit of money, but in the end, it would have just been way too much customer service. He goes, and you destroy your brand. You know? No, Fender's still in Mexico. If anything, they're doing more in Mexico than ever. I've always said you can have your guitar by Fender made in Mexico by Mexicans, so you can have it made in California by, well, Mexicans. SFB, did you dodge the Namthrax? I did. You know? Yeah, court Court? Well, Court is a ghost builder for so many brands, right? I believe they do a lot of stuff for Ibanez, don't they? Right? I think it, right? Am I wrong on that? Like, Court is making like a ridiculous amount of ghost built instruments out there right now. Like, what's the other factory in Indonesia other than Court? When I think of Samick, I think of Korea and not so much Indonesia. When I think of Court, I think of Indonesia. They're doing Squire, right? Isn't Squire, they moved like all their high-end Squires, like moved away from China, moved to Indonesia. I don't know about their low-end stuff, but I know their high-end stuff moved to Indonesia. Like the Classic Vibe, which is an amazing guitar. It's a really good guitar, actually. You know. I know I need to play Ace riffs. Other than the new one. I always get that wrong. It's not F sharp, it's G. Of course. What's amazing is when I listen to the solo in Shock Me on Kiss Alive 2, now that I'm so much older, you can almost hear a little bit of Eruption in there, even though it came out before Eruption. You can almost, right? There's like a little bit of a framework going in there. You know, he almost even does that, right? You know, that 1 to 5 move, right? But instead of going like Eddie, he just keeps repeating it. And I'm like, oh my God, I could almost hear like little bits of like Eruption in there. Eddie always wants to say he was influenced by no one, but I think I can hear a little Ace in there. You know, do I still have the Samsung S24 Blues? I do not. I returned mine, as a lot of you know. I sent that shit back. Now, they kept saying they were going to release the update on the 22nd. The 22nd came and went, and the update didn't show up. I was like, huh. It did come out on the 23rd, came out yesterday. They finally pushed it out. And I would say that some people are saying that, you know, it's all fixed and everything's fine, but there's still a bunch of people out there saying, no, it still looks a little, what do I want to say, like, just dark. In other words, they don't have the auto illuminate, right? It's supposed to, like, turn super bright in the sun and, you know, kind of dark when you're in complete darkness, right? The minimum when you're in complete darkness and the maximum when you're out in full sun and everywhere in between, depending on the lighting. But it always just looked dim compared to my S23. And it had a green cast, which they say they fixed, but I don't know. I can wait till next year. Let's see how the S25 does. Cherry Medicine does have a good hook. Really does. You know, again, people giving them grief because it sounds more pop, but I always thought, I mean, friggin', You know, New York Groove is a friggin' pop tune. He's been pop way more than the other guys. Eddie used to watch Ace. You mean someone that's found EVH. Well, the thing is EVH, Eddie and Alex recorded the demo for Christine's 16, so he had something to present the rest of the band. They recorded it for Gene Simmons, and you can almost hear like Alex is playing in the final result, right? And it sounds a lot like, I'm just saying, Jamie's Crying, right? Right? That little break, right? And you can hear the influence. As soon as someone said that to me, I said, oh my God, I can hear Alex's playing in that friggin' thing. Because I'm sure Gene showed up and said, just play it like the demo. You know? But you can totally hear that influence in it. Vinny, Ace was a trendsetter, but Vinny Vincent scared kids? Yeah, he's still scaring people. What's going on there? Vinny? Never got into Kiss. It was too bubblegum. They had one heavy album, really, maybe two. Some would say Revenge was their other heavy album. But really, Creatures of the Night was sort of like their own, really. That was like their heaviest record. Came out in '83, of course. Because if anything, they were always a year late for the trends. '82? Yeah, Lick It Up was '83. I want to say Creatures must have been '82. Sounds about right. When Creatures came out, it was so like out of style to even acknowledge that you liked Kiss that myself and a friend used to just drive around and quietly listen to Kiss, you know, away from other people. Because he said, I don't know if you're interested. He goes, but I got the new Creatures album. He goes, I think it's pretty good if you want to listen to it. I said, okay, but let's just keep this between us. Like, driving around in my old cop car. Listen to it. And I just remember listening to it with him going, you know what? This is actually pretty good. He's like, I know, right? He goes, it's hard to believe that this is Kiss. And I think at the time we all felt like that was their last record. You know? I think their heaviest tune was probably She. They were heavier with Kiss Alive. They got increasingly pop and turned into, I mean, by the time they get to Shandy, they are like, I am out on them. Even Dynasty was just way too pop. You know, I wasn't into it. A lot of people would say their last great album was Love Gun. And then there's kind of a lull, and then Creatures comes out, and then it's all friggin' hit or miss after that. Except Revenge. Revenge gets love out there. That's the one album that's just, again, sort of like Creatures. Right? They're good for one good album every 10 years. I think 81 was The Elder. Of course, they get the guy who just came off of friggin' Pink Floyd, who just did The Wall. You're like, let me tell you guys right now what's going to happen. You guys are going to do a concept album, because that's what the kids want now. They want concept albums. Yeah, you're like 2 years too late, and your concept sucked. You know, and besides, The Wall was just so critically acclaimed. Why would you ever want to even compete with that? Why would you come out with a concept album after frigging The Wall, which was just so friggin' beloved? It's just hubris. You know, Pink Floyd, Kiss, same thing. Oh, you doing a concept album? We'll do a concept album. Oh, really? Oh, yeah, well, knock yourself out. Oh, music from The Elder? It sounds like a friggin' Mystery Science Theater 3000 friggin' movie. Yeah, it was a huge, and they'd be the first to tell you, although they like some of the songs that they wrote, they're always proud of the songs. It just wasn't them. It just wasn't their thing. And it did. It felt like a square peg in a round hole. Like it just did not work. So, you know. But, you know, they came out with a friggin' disco song in 1979. Disco was dead by then. Disco peaked in 78. Again, but you know, shit takes time. So, oh, disco's doing real good, huh? Disco's got mega numbers, huh? Okay, well, let's write a disco song. And we'll put it out on our next album. Of course, by the time they actually get it to recording it, you know, pressing it, packaging it, marketing it, and actually getting it out, and in that interim, disco dies, just like concept albums died. Again, their timing, man. Oh, they got the timing. You know, it's like The Wall was such a friggin' masterpiece. It's like, why would you even try to compete with that? It's destined to fail. You really think you're going to come out with something that go, yeah, if you like The Wall, you're going to love the new Kiss music from The Elder. Again, a bit of hubris. Though I did regret missing them in 79 when they went on tour. A lot of my friends saw that tour and I did not get to go. Instead, I didn't get to see them until the Creatures tour in 83 with Vinnie Vincent on guitar. Yeah, trying to coattail them, yeah. The Pink V was killer. You mean Vinnie Vincent's, or you mean the one that's at the Gibson garage? You guys see the Gibson garage stuff? I don't know if I can get it on this computer here, but here we go. All right, let me see if I can go here. And here. Yeah. So, this was interesting. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 sec. Because you can't see the whole. Nope, wrong one. This one. There we go. Now you can see it. There you go. And I think I'm clicked on the wrong. There we go. Did you see this? So Gibson Garage opens up in out in London. I don't know if they have any more pics from it. I think we're already back 4 days and no pics. But so the Gibson Garage opens up in London, and then they bring these three locals in to kind of launch it. That's a Tony Iommi. You get a Mr. James Page. And this guy was the kind of, what? Brian May? Is Brian May going with Gibson? Now, Brian May, as you know, has his own guitar. His, custom-made one. Very famously made. I think his dad made it for him or with him. And he's been playing that, was it the red something? The red one. He's been playing that like forever. So I don't know what the relationship will be with Gibson, or if this was just a a media thing. But it was very interesting to see Brian May. Maybe just a London thing. A fella from London called for you. So again, I just thought that this was very interesting to see Brian May, of all people, the Red Special. Thank you, Red Special. So anyway, I just thought that was very interesting. So interesting. And I didn't really see many other photos. I think we're already back like 4 or 5 days. All right, well, there's Tony. That's for a happy birthday, though. And yeah, then they're back to February 16th when they announced the new SG Supremes, the new Supreme line. They've been doing the Les Paul one, but they came out with the SGs. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting to see Brian May there. I was like, well, what's going on here? What's up with this? And so on. You don't like the new Supreme line? Well, I thought, wasn't the original Supreme line, and I could be wrong on this, correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I thought the original Supreme line was made in the custom shop. No? Was it a production guitar? Because the new ones are straight up production. They're not custom shop. Was it production? Yeah, I'd say I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if it was like before they were made in the custom shop and they moved it to the regular production line, if they were always a production line guitar. But I don't know. I believe if you're saying production line, I'm sure it was. Kind of like my Select was production line. It was the most expensive guitar before you got to the custom shop. Yeah, it had the huge jack plate, right? Because of no back plate, and you'd have to fish the wires through a little bit, and right, that's a little bit of a job there, right? You gotta, I mean, they do it all the time. They use like wire or like fishing line, and they attach it to the, and they actually have special tools to the pots to get them in there, and they can hold the pot, and they can screw the nut on without twisting it down underneath. Because it was hollow, right? It was most of the SG Supreme was freaking hollow. Back was like one piece. My Supreme was built like that. It was friggin' hollow. It was crazy. It was insane. No back plates. Yeah, like almost like a coat hanger to like feed the wires. Yeah, pull it through. Special stuff. Yeah, the back was carved and mega flamed. Yeah, my Supreme was mega flamed. It was a veneer, but it was flamed from top to bottom, and had the flambe. My brother-in-law has that. Still has that. In fact, I saw it the other day. I was over there and I saw it on a stand. He had it on a guitar stand. Do, 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 do. That's actually not a 335 in the background. That's a Chinese copy guitar with some pretty terrible pickups in it. Dynasty and the Elder didn't do them any favors. I agree. I agree. So I got a, if you've ever used one of these, I got a sewer jet. You ever mess with one of those? It's basically a hose. I got a 25 footer. They go up to 100, even longer, but they go 100 feet easy. But I got the 25 footer. I don't have to clear out much. But it's got a special jet at the end that propels it forward and shoots debris out behind it. So I'm going to use it to clear out some of the downspouts, you know. Do they feed back? Oh, of course they do. What, the ones in that there? Yeah, they're unpotted. Those there, of course. Like most of those Chinese pickups, right? And then the only good thing about that is that actually has a hatch on the back. They actually have a door on the back that I can open up and work on it. But for what? Yeah, the Wango, the Tango, right? Yeah, microphonic. The other guitar I do have nearby is the blue Vola, but that's it. Just the SG and the blue Vola. The white hollow body, not bad. It's surprisingly heavy. And of course, it's got those like Filtertron pickups, so not really great for distorted tones. And I never use it in a live show because it's so friggin' loud. The microphone you have to use solid body electric guitars when you do a live show. Because pick up the, you'd be hearing, but like 1,000 times worse. Play the tiny guitar. No way. It's not the easiest guitar to play. And besides, I choose my guitars. But thanks for the suggestion. Is that for your Brian Setzer stuff? Oh, yeah. Yeah, sometimes I like to, you know, grease my hair back and duck walk across the room. You know, that old chestnut. What's this guitar? That is a Epiphone Masterbuilt. That's my friggin'... where is it? Oh, right there. Right there? Oh, yeah. Anything? Oh, yeah. Well, the Celts don't start till 8:30, but I think... Oh, end of the first, 0-0. How can we play Vancouver and they start at 7? It's a 4 o'clock game there. I was like, what? I was like, oh, Vancouver, great. They'll start at like 10 p.m. I was like, 7? What? Is your snow all gone? Oh, absolutely. It's going to get really warm, too. It's cold right now, but it's like in the 30s, but it's going to punch up to almost like 60 this week with rain. So, yeah. You know, we had no friggin' winter this winter. A couple of cold days, and that was about it. Yeah, it's a matinee game out there. What the frick? You know, Patrick sent me this amazing pic. I know it looks normal, but do I have... Oh, I do have a flashlight here. Let's see, it's got the... All right, but... Oh, hold on. And, like... It glows like crazy. Hold on, let me go to glow cam. See that? Like one of them glow in the dark ones. He was telling me, he goes, it's very difficult to get material that's black and glows in the dark. Usually it's some other color or it's white. You get it to glow. That thing. There's my normal pic. Which also lights up. Boy, it's hard to adjust. Got to adjust. Takes a bit of an adjustment. Yeah, probably be pretty good on bass, I agree. What's the material called? I don't know what he calls it, actually. What does he call it? Let me see if I can find it here. Do I have a... Boo-doo. Oh, I wonder if he doesn't have it on the... What if he doesn't have it on the page yet? And I'll show you what I'm looking at here. sunshine. Oh. Or it could be this. That's probably it. That's probably it. Yeah, obsidian black plectrum never seen, blah, blah, blah. Proprietary formulations of a strontium aluminate doped with a rare earth element like dysprosium and europium. Non-toxic, non-radioactive. Right there. That's what it is. Do-do-do-do-do. Why do you want to pick that big? To do the big pick challenge when people come over? Can you pass the big pick challenge? We'll see. Actually, he has some made out of Tourlawn that stuff is so hard and so abrasion resistant that you'd never wear that pick out. It would, like, one pick would last you a friggin' lifetime. Just don't lose it. They will fall into acoustics, but when you shake it to get it out, it blows a hole right through the side of the acoustic. So much, because I'm tuned down a full step. Sassy cat. Oh, thank you. I love my big pick. Yeah, that's right. You won one, right? Not this last Christmas, but the Christmas before that, right? When I was sick. I was friggin' sick. You handing those picks out. I remember that. The funny thing is, I went to NAMM and I didn't get sick at all, but something got me sick right around that time. And I was like wiped out. You can hear it in my voice when I'm doing the friggin', I'm picking friggin' names out. Yeah. Yeah, well, Namthrax is correct. I had it real bad one year. After I got back, I was sick for like 2 weeks. And I remember I went one year, and it wasn't that I was like sick, not like that year. That year I was really sick, like fever and like chills and like full on the flu. But I had one year where it was more like just a cold, but man, I was starving. And you know who had the same thing? Was Ike from Flipside. Because he goes, I don't know what I have, but I can't stop eating. I'm like, right? It's like you're starving like all the time. I was chowing like friggin' chicken noodle soup like nonstop. Yeah, that was one year. I'd say the worst was I got, not food poisoning, but I got like a stomach virus while I was there. And I had to spend like pretty much one whole day just in my hotel room crying like a bitch. Because I was so friggin' miserable. Just miserable. And then, right, so you got to remember, so I show up, and it's like, I show up on like Thursday, I hang out, Thursday night comes, and I forget if it was Wednesday night, no, I think it was Thursday night, and we go out to dinner, and I get so nauseous at dinner. I said, like, guys, I got to check out. I barely make it back to my room, and I friggin' pretty much spend the whole night throwing up, pissing out my ass, like, just so friggin' sick, and couldn't eat, hold anything down. Finally, I called down front, and they sent up like 4 bottles of water. And they were so nice. And a little thing of crackers. And I said, you don't happen to have a store? They're like, we don't, but we can send you up. We'll send you up water, bottles of water, and we'll send you up some crackers. And they did, and it was great. And that night, I started feeling like a little bit better. Right, and it was probably like 5 or 6 o'clock, and Hunter Agufish texts me, and he's like, what are you doing for dinner? And I'm like, dude, I haven't eaten in like 24 hours. I don't know. He goes, well, we're going to this barbecue place. If you think you can hold food down, you can come out with us. We're just going to this barbecue place. We'll just meet you there. I was like, all right. So I went out, went to the barbecue place. I walk in, and Glenn Fricker is there. And he sees me. He goes, oh my God, dude, you have lost weight. I go, oh, have I? Do I look a little thinner, Glenn? He's like, man. He goes, you look great. I'm like, I don't feel great. Exactly. I remember I had the lasagna. No, the worst thing about it, Michael, was because eventually you start to clear yourself out. You got nothing left to give. The worst was that, like, even though I had pretty much emptied out my stomach, you still have the heaves. You can't get rid of the heaves. And if you've ever had, like, your calf, like, lock up and pull your foot forward, and you have to stand up and literally pull your freaking calf out, or your leg locks up, your ankle goes up to your ass, and you got to use your other foot to push your leg out because it's like locked up there, right? Hurts so bad. That was happening with my stomach, probably because I was really dehydrated. So towards the end, as I was throwing up, my stomach would just clench up, and I'd have to make my way over to the bed and then lean on the bed and like try and stretch like a friggin' clam opening up, try and like stretch back open again. Like a friggin', what am I thinking? Like a hedgehog. Yeah, no, Glenn, yeah. Can't see Glenn as a motivational speaker, exactly. Yeah, it was the worst. Lots of norovirus going around New England right now. That's why I don't leave the house. That's why I like to stay home. Exactly, clam thrash. Yeah, that's probably what I needed, was like a Gatorade. But I wouldn't be able to hold it down. I'd just be throwing it right back up again. Just be throwing it right friggin' back up. I couldn't even. I was like sipping that water. They gave me the waters, which weren't like ice cold. Luckily, the place has a refrigerator. Threw them all in the fridge, and then just after they cooled down for maybe like an hour or two, I started sipping out of one of them. It was like with a barrel next to me just in case, sitting on the couch watching friggin' ESPN. Friggin' miserable. Speaking of clammy, how's the saltwater tank? Pretty good. We got rid of a couple of wrasses that were like, they were real wrasshole. We had 2 wrasses that were just, they were tough, man. They were real aggressive. So we got rid of them because the tank is really overrun with algae, and we just need more algae eaters like snails, and we got some copepods. We got some, some hermit crabs. It's like we got to start getting a little bit more microbial and cleaning that tank up because it's just out of control. So, we'll see. Personally, I think we should get rid of the tank. I've been on record for that for a couple of years now. You had food poisoning from clams so bad? I had food poisoning and it ruined it for me. If you ever had Chinese food, you ever have lobster sauce? Which has no lobster in it. It's basically, I want to say, like a brown sauce and chicken? Direct sun? No, not really. Not really. It's very far in away from the windows. But it's got algae out of control. So we just need more tank cleaners. Feed them a little less, yeah. That could be it. But we got rid of the wrasses, which were harassing. If we'd get a hermit crab, that harassed the hermit crabs. So we wound up getting, like I was telling them, we need like 40 friggin' snails and hermit crabs in there. That's how bad the tank is. It's really out of control. So we'll see. They're looking at stuff. We'll see. But yeah, big pain in the ass. You had suckers that ate the algae. Did you have a freshwater, though? That was probably a pleco. Pleco. Oh, really? Yeah. Got violent yield from sun-dried tomatoes, yeah. And you can't eat them. It's like me with the lobster sauce. I was sick when I was like 8 years old. And I just can't. All done. Saying the boss who once got a fisherman's basket was sick for 24 hours. Yeah. I went to, and they're usually pretty good. I went to Legal Seafood and got total food poisoning. The only other thing I ate that day was a bagel with butter on it, which was friggin' fine. That's not going to give you food poisoning. Very low probability of food poisoning. And then that night we went out and I got like the mixed grill and ate it about 9 o'clock, and about 3 a.m. was just puking and pissing out my ass. It's just the friggin' worst. I actually went and filed a complaint at Legal Seafood, and they called me. And they were like, we take it very seriously. And they looked up, and she wound up calling me back and saying like, hey, we looked up the lot number and all this. And she goes, we test every batch, and it was fine. And I'm like, I don't care what you tell me. I ate your friggin' fish, and I was friggin', the appetizer we split, she didn't get sick, but whatever it was, one of those items got me friggin' sick. And I'm sure it was fine when you tested it, but maybe it, you know, it got left out on the counter a little too long during prep. Who knows? Or it got contaminated by something else. Who knows? But they wound up giving me a $75 gift certificate to make up for it. And I was, okay. Legal is still around, but they were sold. They're owned by what was the family that owned them? The Berkeley? No, Burke? I forget now. I forget the family, but they don't own it any longer. They sold it. It's owned by a restaurant company. You know what the thing is around here? My wife will do this. There's an app out there where when they get to the end of a buffet, right, they have to throw the food away. You can't repurpose that food. You're not allowed to. But what you can do, because it is a buffet, is you can make up a plate and sell that plate. So my wife would go to like this like Indian restaurant that has a buffet, and for like a 30-minute window, they sell these massively made up plates right after the buffet gets over for like $6 a plate, and it's like $40 worth of food. But they'd rather get $6 or $10 a plate than nothing. And it's a very short window that they have to be sold in. And she scored a couple of times. But one of them, they said it was like leftover, but it was just a scam. And they like literally, it was like a small pizza. And they said it was like an $18 value. She goes, I wouldn't pay you much more than the $6 I paid for the stupid pizza. She's like, it was really bad. She goes, they clearly just, want to be on the app to try and drive traffic, but it was a total fail. My friend got food poisoning from Olive Garden so bad they gave him a check for $3,000 to keep quiet about it. Yeah. You can get food poisoning real bad. When I had it as a kid, it was real bad. I had to go to the doctor. They had to give me a shot. I couldn't stop vomiting. What's a killer keyboard back in the day? Like a musical, like a keyboard? D50, DX7, DX7 2FT. It's a good keyboard. Those are all pretty good. Korg. The Korg DSS1 was friggin' amazing. DW8000 was a great keyboard. Pretty good. Yeah, the ESQ1 was a great keyboard. Mirage, not as much because it was just so limited. Better off to go with synth, from back then, because at least they were real oscillators. The Korg M1, I have heard, I don't know if it's true, I heard the Korg M1 was the greatest selling keyboard of all time. I don't know how true that is. It beat out the Yamaha DX7, which was the reigning king. And then since then, the market has just gotten so fractured that no one can get those kind of numbers any longer, just because there's just too many keyboards on the market now. How's the trailer coming along? It's pretty much done. I got it covered in a tarp right now. It's got some leaves in it. I did a little bit of yard work the other day. It was kind of mild. Went out and did a little bit of yard work, getting prepping, cleaning up. And it'll be good. I have a few things I got to bring up to the dump, and it's really good for that kind of stuff. Got an old snowblower that won't start. It's an old John Deere. And I don't even want. I have a Craftsman that runs fine with electric start. This is an old prior to electric start. I don't want this stupid thing. It's just stuck there. You know. Yeah, the DX7 was pretty. That was it. That's the sound of a lot of recordings in the 1980s. When you hear that John Mayer record that came out like about 18 months ago or so, maybe 2 years ago, that has got so much friggin' DX7 late 80s, 86, 87 sound. Oh my God, it is crazy. Steve, quick Googling suggests the title goes, so the Korg M1. Yeah, I had heard that. That's what I've heard. I've heard that the M1 was the last of the big selling keyboards, which was probably 1990? 1991? When was the M1? Was it as young as 89? I don't think so. I want to say it was 90 or 91 that came out. Korg had to catch up to. So the DX7 comes out, Yamaha, and, Roland and Korg are shitting themselves because there's been a move away from analog to digital. And, of course, Yamaha's the new player with the DX7, which is famously difficult to program, right? And then out comes the Roland D50 with their linear architecture synthesis, LA synthesis, which was pretty clever. Rather than using sampling, they just took a tiny little bit of the sample, the hardest part like the scrape, and they would put that before a synthesizer, and mashing them up, a tiny bit of a sample, like the wind, the breath, the whoosh, right? That's the hard thing that's to actually do, but it's like almost like white noise. And it doesn't take up a lot of space, and they figured they could make these little formants, these little, almost like just like little sound, and they would mix that, and it made a huge friggin' difference. It really did. It made it sound like so different than anything else out there. And I want to say the Korg M1 is kind of the same thing. A lot of formants mixed with, analog synth. They can be digitally stored. And then there was so many players in the market after that. It got very, very fractured. Was it 88? Was it really that old? Wow, 88. 88 to 95, one of the best-selling keyboards of all time. The first synth to have, powerful multi-effects maybe, but the Roland D50 was the first to have like a digital delay and a reverb in it. I think that's all it had was like a delay and a reverb, but that's all you needed. And just like out of the gate, it sounded so good because they had effects built into it. Now you'd go listen to another keyboard and it sounded flat because it didn't have it sounded dry. You go play the other one, it would have reverb and delay, and you're like, oh my God, this sounds so much better. Very, very clever of Roland to put effects in there. I believe they were the first one to do it, but I'm sure Korg took it to the next level by adding like phasers and flangers and ping pong delays and all kinds of crap to make it sound that much better. But the first one I remember having it would have been the D50, which I want to say came out in 87. I never had a DX7, but I had the tabletop one, the TX7. It sounded pretty good. not bad. I remember I spent like literally 90 minutes programming it to do the, and it sounded like it when I was finally done. To make this print sound. I think it's the synth sound from 1999. It did sound like it when it was finally done. Over 200,000 DX7. So DX7 was a friggin' phenom. That just came out, took the whole industry by storm. So, and then you say to yourself, wow, like that's really amazing of Yamaha to like develop, you know, such an amazing synth. They didn't develop shit. The FM synthesis was developed by Stanford. And Yamaha licensed it as a non-exclusive license to see if it was feasible to come out with one, you know, to make it a more, to spend the money it would take to make it an exclusive license. They build a synth around it, they see the promise of it, and they wind up licensing it exclusively from Stanford. It was such a cash cow for Stanford University because they, you know, they own the patents. Now the patents have expired, and so anyone can make an FM synth. But at the time, Yamaha had the exclusive right, the exclusive license to the patents from Stanford. I had a Roland JP6. I remember that. We had a JP8 at the store. Bought it in '82. That sounds about right. When the Prophet 5 came out, both were two first with MIDI. I had a Jupiter 4 that I got rid of because it didn't have MIDI. Of course, now I could sell the thing for like friggin' 10 grand. But at the time, I was like, no MIDI. Let me dump this piece of crap. Rolling Jupiter. You're crazy. And I had an Akai. I had an AX73, which was an analog synth. And then I had an MX73, which was the same board, but with no sounds, just MIDI. Steve, did you check out Mick Mars' new album? No, I didn't know he came out with one. Gotta hand it to Ace. You know, the marketing has been pretty strong for this album. I've seen a lot of marketing for it. You know? Yeah, the Juno, we used to sell the Juno 106. We used to sell those, man. You still have 2 Korg DW8000s, yeah. That was a killer synth. DW8000 is a really good sounding synth. I wanted the flagship at the time, which was the DSS-1, right? It could do sampling and waveforms. It's basically like a DW8000 or maybe even 2 of them paired up. It was $2 grand. I remember thinking at the time, my God, just the tax on this is going to be $100. I never wound up getting it. It was just a dream. I remember when the DX7 came out, the guy at the music store was playing Jump. This part sounded amazing, yeah. It was really already sold out of Ace's new CD. That's a failure of pressing. We got to press some more there. What's up, Mark? Yeah, what was the one? I think it was the ARP 2600. You know what the 2600 was? It was like the MSRP. That was what the retail price was in like 1973. So, we can just do a quick inflation calculator here. I want to say that came out in 1973 for $2,600. That'd be about $18,000 in today's money. Yeah, I got a new synth out. It's only 18 G's. People forget how expensive shit used to be. The one that was cool was the second DX, the DX7 II. That was really good. We got to be careful because they made like the 2S, which was like the stripped down one. Some of them they're not all good. But I want to say like the DX2 FD was like really good. Really friggin' good. It was infinitely less noisy than the original DX7 because I think it went from either 8-bit to 12-bit or 12-bit to 16-bit, which got rid of a ton of noise in the circuit. Wasn't a house around $4,000 in 73, and probably in some parts, but I remember when we were looking for our house in 75, 30,000 was the number I remember. We looked at, and we wound up buying the house for 26.5. Is it wrong not to be very good guitar player but love guitars, amps, and pedals? I would say that, and this is probably a truism, the overwhelming majority of guitar players are not very good guitar players. That's probably a truism. And I don't even mean like 51 or 52%. I'm talking like 70, 75%. Like top tier, it's probably like literally less than 5%. You know? And by that I mean like you could be thrown into pretty much any situation and you could manage it. You know, there's very few people that can do that. Look at them boots. Some wee boots right there. Makes you even feel much better, yeah. And you know what? When I always think of when I got my first nice guitar, and just jealous bitches being like, you don't deserve that guitar, I'll be like, I don't know. The guy seemed to take our money. He seemed to think we deserved it. We were able to walk out the door with it. Yeah, you know what? I was disappointed, Guitar Man, with the King Korg Neo. I like the idea of, that, but I wish they had just spruced it up a little bit. That the innards for the King Korg they're from like 10 years ago. Now, if they had said, like, the King Korg got a refresh, and now it has like either more waveforms, or it's like better noise reduction, or the waveforms are just... very low aliasing or whatever, something. Just make me happy, but it's not. It's just a new form factor. Internally, it's the same as the old one, and it's like $7.99. I've seen the old King Korgs for like $5.99, $6.99. Got a lot more keys. It's like, I was a little puzzled by it because at least the other one you mentioned there, is expanded a little bit. It is a little bit of a different keyboard. It has like more storage or like more. It's got more. But that King Korg doesn't. I think it's the same friggin' internals. A little disappointing. Yeah, Phil X is one of those top players. There are just guys out there, you know, who can just get into a situation and like nothing, you can't shake them. You know who talked like that? Was like, what's his name? Steve Morse. He goes, you know, when I was at University of Miami, you know, it's like, oh, let's go jam with everyone, you know. He goes, so we would jam with like Pat Metheny, and you just realize that this guy is just running circles around you. That his ears are so good and his knowledge of the guitar is just so friggin' great. And he just has such a feel for it that he's just like on a whole nother level than anyone else in that room. He goes, and then they were basically like, you know, is he going to come here to like learn? Like, what is he going to do? And they wound up making him a professor. That's how good Pat Metheny was. They're like, no, you should be teaching. You shouldn't. What are we going to teach you? What are we teaching you? Nothing, you know? So, and again, now you think of a guy like Steve Morse, who's like this incredible guitar player, but even he's saying, you know, it's a struggle for me. You know, I've got to put the time in. He goes, but you would meet these people, and again, it's like 1 in a million, a guy like Pat Metheny, who's just like on a complete other friggin' level. Like a Jacob Collier, right? He's like one of those guys who's just got all that and then some. All that and a bag of chips. Like, damn, bro. You break a finger? Give us a chance. I would say Steve Vai is up there, but even Steve Vai, you're not going to put him in a situation that he'll you know, that he's going to like burn himself, right? He's pretty good. I'll tell you the guy who was surprising though. I'll end with this. I've seen Andy Timmons jam with a bunch of different people, right? At one point, Andy Timmons sat down with this like jazz cat. And you can tell that the jazz cat is not expecting Andy Timmons to be able to play like jazz riffs. And so they go through, you know, like some friggin' 1-6-2-5. It's a pretty straightforward jazz thing. And Andy starts ripping through some jazz stuff, and you can tell this guy is like, oh my God, that's like really good. Oh wow. Oh wow. Okay. Oh wow. Right? He's having like an epiphany that maybe Andy is a little bit more than just this like blues Americana sort of like, you know, rock player. Maybe he's got way deeper chops going on than that. And it's really good because he like just starts going through and it's like, oh wow, okay, wow, all right, that's pretty good. You know. Yeah, Jacob Collier is flying a jet and everyone else is on a twin prop. Yeah. Yeah, some dudes just have it, man. They just do. All right. Speaker's telling me it's a great show. That's my cue to skidoo. I'm ready to have a little bit of food. I'm actually a little hungry. I'm ready for some dinner. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. Extra super special thanks to anyone who contributed. I always appreciate that. And of course, brofist to my mod squad. Hashtag brofist. Hashtag mod squad. And in a week, we will do it all again. And there you have it. I hope everyone has a wonderful week. You know? And where was this? What, the Metheny and Morse? That was at, I want to say, the University of Miami? They were both there at the same time? You know? And, or do you mean the Timmons? The Timmons thing was a video. where he sits down with this jazz dude. And you can just tell this jazz dude is like not expecting much. And it's like, huh, okay. Well, all right, there you go. Pretty damn good. All right, no. You rock. And I can hear them walking around up there. They want me to finish up, so I'm going to finish up. Okay, have a wonderful week. And we will do it all again next week. And until then, have a great week. And maybe I'll get some videos out this week. We'll see. I don't know. I'm hoping. Maybe. Could happen. Crazier things have happened. Look at those boots. Look at them boots. Them booty boots right there. All right. All right. Have a great week. No, you rock. We'll see you then. And until then, rock on.